Hello and welcome to the ARIS Technical Services webcast. Our webcast today is for the E6000 Converged Edge Router, capturing E6000 CER data for RMA processing. My name is Andrew Dahl. I'll be the host of this event. Our presenter today is Tom Gibson. Please be aware that all lines have been placed on mute to cut down on background noise. This webcast is being recorded and will be available for replay on ARIS Academy. Finally, I encourage you to use the question box located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen to ask Tom any questions you may have. Once you click in the box, please type in your question and then hit the send button. We'll have a few minutes at the end of the webcast to review everyone's questions submitted throughout this webcast. With that, I'll turn the time over to Tom. Tom, it's all yours.
Thank you, Andrew, and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Today we're going to look at collecting data for submitting an RMA process for the E6000. As Andrew said, my name is Tom Gibson and I'll be your presenter for today. And so let's just go ahead and jump into the RMA process. And so if you suspect that you have a card within the E6000 chassis that needs replacement, and you've already talked to our tech support organization, they're going to direct you to our website to download the RMA form. So if you'll go to the link that we have presented here, there is a form that you can start to fill out, and we're going to go through that form and look at where you can get that information. Once you have the form completely filled out, you can send that as an attachment to our TAC help desk, so tac.helpdesk@commscope.com, or you can call them at 188-944-4357 for processing. So where do we get this RMA form? If you go to the link shown here on the page, it's going to look similar to this. Sorry for the top of the screen being cut off, but on our repair and return website, if you scroll down to return authorization request, you'll see a link to the actual form. You'll download that form. It is a Excel spreadsheet, and that form will look like this. Notice it is for the E6000, and it has a lot of drop-down menus where you can go through and select different things. You are going to need to have certain information about the E6000, specifically the serial number of the part in question. We're going to look at how you can gather that information inside the CLI here in just a moment. So the important information you're going to need to fill out this RMA sheet, you're going to need the RMA number. That's going to be provided to you by the tech support personnel. So go ahead and put that in. You'll need a part description. There is a drop-down menu in that column where you can select all the different or the particular E6000 component that you're wanting to RMA. You're going to need the serial number of that part in question. You'll need to state the fail frequency. There is a drop-down menu for that. Go ahead and select which one applies there. Any symptoms that you've been looking at for that suspected bad piece of hardware, go ahead and select the appropriate one from that drop-down menu. And then we also would request that you attach any diagnostic results and any PMD files, and also a capture of the output of a show tech support if possible. These three pieces of data are very critical to the timeliness of us being able to capture that information and determine what's going on with your system and being able to get you a replacement card very quickly. So always remember, you can help our tech support out greatly by giving us these three pieces of information. And we're going to talk about how to gather that here in just a moment. So one of the pieces of information that you're going to need is the serial number of the part in question. So let's take a look at how you can get that in different areas of the E6000 CLI. So if you're dealing with a front module, whether it be a DCAM, a UCAM, or an RSM, you can simply do the show line card status And you'll see here about midway in the screen, you have a serial number column. And so you can just select the card that's been giving you issues, copy that serial number, input that into the RMA form, and you'll be good. If it's another piece of equipment, say for instance, you've been having some issues with a physical interface card attached to one of the slots, you can simply do a show version detail. And here you can see you get the serial number of the front module, and you can get the model number and serial number of the physical interface card attached to that module as well. So you can find that information by using the show version detail command. If you're looking for serial number information, perhaps for a power entry module or a fan tray, you can use another CLI command, and that would be the show version detail chassis. And here you can see we've got the serial number and the model number and version for power entry modules and for the fan trays as well. So that gets you your serial number. What about completing a card diagnostic? If it is a front module, we can always run a hardware diagnostic on that card within the CLI. A word of note, it does require you to take that module out of service. So keep that in mind. If you've got sparing involved, that will take the spare during this time. And it can take up to 30 minutes to complete, depending on which card it is that you're doing the diagnostic. So in this case, they're looking at slot 1, which I believe in this case would probably be a UCAM or a UCAM 2. And once we've taken the card out of service, we can simply start the diagnostic by issuing the command diagnostic slot 1 start. And here you can see some of the CLI that you're going to see on your screen. And like we said, depending on which card that you're doing the diagnostic, this can take up to 30 minutes. So how would you capture this? Before you start the diagnostic, just turn on logging on your Telnet or SSH session to capture all of that information. So as the diagnostic finishes up, you'll see it will post the results. And in this case, we did have a failure. We can pass this on to the tech support organization, and that can help them with their diagnosis of your problem. So here we can see this card failed that diagnostic because of a register fail in the read write verify test. So we've had something happen to that particular card. Once the diagnostic is finished, you can put the card back into service. However, most likely if it is giving you problems, then you'll still need to have your sparing in place. One other piece of data that we would ask you to collect would be any post-mortem dump files, or PMDs. And these are for our front modules only. So for our DCAMs, our UCAMs, and RSMs, you can use the command show PMD. And when you do this, you're going to see 2 locations of where these post-mortem dump files have been recorded. The first one you're going to see here is in the system dumps subdirectory. And you'll see we've got multiples here in that directory. And then a little lower on the screen, you'll see the location of the clone systems dumps, and there's additional ones there. So this will show you both the active RSM and the standby RSM, where those files are, what subdirectories you'll need to navigate to get those, to capture those for sending to tech support. So a little bit more about PMDs. They consist of 2 types of files. They consist of debug and of state files. Also, keep in mind that the E6000 captures the first and the most recent event, where new events overwrite the last event shown there. So if we go back one page, we notice here that we have a few debug PMDs and we have a few state PMDs, and also they have the card number in the file name for those as well. And then you'll see the FST and the LST designations, designating the first and the last. And if you'll notice here in our example, specifically here in the top here, if we take a look at this particular file, notice the date on that. Of course, it's from 2017, but that was the first time that it had registered a debug PMD file for that particular card. However, notice the second one, which is the last or most recent PMD, and it's over 6 months later. The problem with that is we don't have any PMD files in between. So on this particular system, we've not done a very good job of cleaning up after capturing these PMDs. So that's another thing when you're going in to capture PMDs. Once you have that pulled off of your E6000, it's always recommended that you clear out the existing PMDs. That way you won't go through like we're seeing here, where you have the first instance of that and then a long time in between with the most recent. So a little bit of file cleanup is required by the user once you have pulled these off of your system. These files are not text, so you cannot open them up and look at them with a text editor or anything like that. That is something that our tech support and our engineering teams, they run through special software to extract the data out of these PMD files. So don't worry about trying to look at these PMD files internally. Just the capture of those and being able to attach them to your RMA request will help us tremendously. We've seen where they're stored on the active and standby RSMs. So you will need to navigate to both of those to get those files off. And typically we're going to use FTP to transfer those files from the RSMs to your PC or laptop. And remember, when we're looking at these, when we log into or when we FTP into the E6000, we're going to need to navigate to the system dumps directory to get those off of the active RSM. And then we'll need to navigate to the clone system dumps directory to pull those off of the standby. So make sure you get both. Like we said earlier, once that you've pulled these off and have them on your laptop or PC, go back in and clear out your PMDs. And you can simply do that by using the clear PMD CLI command. So once we have all of these and we have attached these, we need to also capture additional information which can help our tech support and engineering personnel, and that is the capture of a show tech support. So in this case, in your CLI, turn on logging and simply issue the show tech support command. You're going to see a tremendous amount of information scroll by on your screen as this show tech support runs. And if you look at it with any detail, you're going to see that it's a collection of certain show commands and the outputs of those where we can have our tech support and our engineering folks look at the outputs of those and really get an idea of what's going on with your E6000. And that keeps us from having to set up remote login access to your E6000 and do a bunch of different CLI commands. If you can capture that for us and send that to us in the RMA process, that's going to help us tremendously. So include this with your RMA sheet, your PMD files that are on the system as well, and any module diagnostic results. And like I said, these items here are going to be critical in helping us determine what's been going on with your system and what the outcome is for this. And that's really all that we have. So complete the RMA request form, attach those files that we've been talking about, and send it to our help desk. The email address for that is tac.helpdesk@commscope.com. I apologize for that. I did not change that on this slide. Or you can give them a call, 1-888-944-4357. Pretty short and sweet. There's not a whole lot to that. So at this point, we'll open it up for any questions that anyone may have.
Hey, Tom, it's Andrew. We don't seem to have any questions in the queue. So, folks, if you have a question, please add your question to your question box in your control panel for this webinar.
And as they're doing that, I also wanted to just say thank you, everyone, for attending today. If you need to get in touch with us for either a replay or you have any other questions regarding this particular webcast, you can reach out to our training organization. You can send us an email at techtraining@commscope.com. For any other training needs, you can go to our training website, and old links still work. You can still go to the aris.com/support/learn page, and that will bring you to all things ARIS product related training there as well. So I don't see any other questions. Andrew, do you have any?
Yeah, one just came in.
Okay.
Could you put up the tax contact info again?
Here we go. You can see the email address, and I believe this has been changed, so I apologize for that. This should be commscope.com. So tac.helpdesk@commscope.com, and then you also can give them a call at 1-888-944-4357.
Okay, I don't see any other questions.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for attending. Like Andrew said, this will be available for replay on ARIS Academy. Also, if you've got any other questions, like we said, you can reach out to us and drop us a line for any other questions that you may have. But with that, thank you everyone for attending, and hope to see you the next time.
Thanks, Tom. We appreciate you your presentation today. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for attending. Bye now.